Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Wandek, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server. So, welcome one and all.
What about Eli?
Where's Eli?
Good morning.
Morning.
I didn't see Eli. Is Eli in the hangout?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good morning.
Where are you, Eli? I can't even see where you are.
I'm here.
Where's here? That's not very useful.
I'm in the what is this? The meats? Google Meets? Whatever.
You're in meat. Okay, you don't seem to be. Oh, okay. I see what's happening. Let's just sort that out. There we go. Got half my screen missing. I really need to do a GoFundMe for a second monitor. It's so hot that I can't run my projector. So throughout the summer, I just sort of slum it with one monitor, and everything's overlapping and things freeze up and I'm moaning and calling conspiracy on while my computer's crashing and stuff. Realistically, it's because I should have two monitors rather than a dozen different windows all overlapping each other. But I just can't afford a second monitor and I don't want to turn the projector on. So I had a load of stuff hidden, so I couldn't even see you there. Anyway, we aren't just joined by Wandek, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. We're actually joined by Wandek, Neil, Click OK, Eli, and some people in the peanut gallery. Hello, Discord, by the way.
Yo, yo.
Hello, George. It's been a busy week. I mean, for whatever reason, I think it's been the most consecutive videos about Nathan Oakley produced in a single time frame ever since I've been doing this. I've never had so many people make Nathan Oakley adverts one after the next. It's delightful. If you've made me an advert, thanks. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate all the ads talking about me, talking about Earth being measured flat. Especially if you go out after doing it and then measure Earth flat. I am so grateful. My hat is off to all of you. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, all of the anti-flat earthers, one after the next, are making me little adverts. It's so sweet. Thank you. I really feel loved. Saw a little thumbnail from... We were coincidentally talking about an advert for House of Cats, and Neil mentioned Conspiracy Cats, who is now 8 out of 10 cats. One of his thumbnails scrolled by today, saying Nathan's a Jehovah's Witness or something like that. Who knows? Who cares? Yet another advert. So the guy who was handed over his channel to, guess who? Where are the guns, Nathan? Yeah, him. He got his channel, that's McToon, from Conspiracy Cats. Well, Conspiracy Cats' new channel, called 8 out of 10 Cats, is also making me adverts. So wonderful. I mean, I don't get tired. I haven't got enough hours in the day to watch this stuff. And if it's actually relevant, someone will send me a message with it. But I did see the thumbnail going by, and it's just coincidental. I'm thinking, bloody hell, there's been a lot of adverts to cover recently. And then yet another one pops up. I mean, there's so many, I can't cover them all. I mean, Creaky's made videos about me recently, and it's because they're all getting these little nods, aren't they? They've all got little things that they do that get a little nod, right? And at the moment, the big honchos, Dave and Dan, they're measuring Earth flat, aren't they? Yeah? Toon, I mean, he had his moment in the sun/snow screaming about guns 6 months ago. But the rest of them are following suit now, one after the next, literally one after the next, making videos about little old me. Oh, thanks. Is it because we measure Earth flat? Yeah, we do, don't we? Yeah? For convenience, end quote, Simon Dan. Ah, lovely, lovely, lovely. It's a good fun time to be alive. The only downside to all of this is I've literally never had worse viewings. Like, I'm so relaxed because I know no one's watching. Yeah? I mean, you can make a video about me and make thousands and thousands of pounds based on the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of views that you'll get if you're someone like Dan or whoever. Me, I mean, I'm struggling to pay my mortgage. I've had to take up a little side hustle in microphones before my book comes out. That's me. I'm struggling financially. But do I look like I'm too concerned? I couldn't have been more relaxed. I don't think I ever typically go on camera. I'm not normally so bold. But given the limited audience, I'm like, I might as well go on camera with my coffee in hand, probably with coffee stains down me, spots, feeling rather fat. But to laugh at all the adverts I'm getting, it's totally worth it. So thank you. I just want to say it again. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart. All you fundies. I love you all.
Good promotion for the book, Nathan, I reckon.
Yeah, can you do a bit more plugs for the book? Yeah, it'll sell itself. I don't need to do any more hustling for the book. I think once it comes out, people will read it and recognise the value in it. You don't go and stick your neck out and go, this book will be selling for 100 years. And then go, no, you know what, that was a bit, that was a bit of a timeline that I might not be able to condone if someone actually reads the book. The book will sell for 200 years. And then someone comes along and, yeah, well, I've kind of watched you polish it up and watch the people watch it get polished, call them ghostwriters. I assume to annoy me. I'm going to go out on a further limb and say this book will sell forever. It's never going to go out of date. In terms of what heliocentrism is, in terms of how it documents what that is, where it comes from, and how Earth gets measured flat to achieve it. Once you document these things factually in terms of what the world was described as at this point in time, that's kind of capture, it's a snapshot of time. Now, obviously, given that the truth of the matter is as Earth is measured, well, it's flat, right? Who cares? In 100 years from now, who gives a crap is the actual attitude. Hence me sitting back, quite literally, not figuratively, feet up, going, who cares? Who's going to give a toss in 100 years? I mean, if we've still got a control system that sees value in lying to the world about the nature of the surface itself for their particular ends, then okay, well then there'll be a control structure that's manipulating the people to achieve that ends, with the surface of Earth being their control tool. Now, for now, we figured it out and we've gone, okay, well it obviously isn't the case. We're measuring Earth flat in every single instance, and even the brainwashed masses that believe they're on a ball can be hoodwinked by me into telling their audiences about how flat they measure it. In the case of Simon Dan, he's so cocksure, he's gone out and told a whole bunch of people, 1,000 of them, to go out and measure Earth flat. No, I'm not making this up. It's not like I've orchestrated Dan to go out and measure thousands of elevation angles. He's done it of his own volition because he, in his mind, thinks he's for the greater good, measuring and calculating the ball nature of Earth with flat Earth angle measurements of the surface. It's pretty embarrassing when you look at it from their side. From my side, it's like, once you figure out Earth is flat, I've been saying this for months, you've got two choices. Choice number one, get on with your freaking day. Okay, you figured it out, you've gone and checked. Like, you haven't shortcutted this cognitively to, well, Toon's figured it out for me, he's saying it's a ball. And they checked. I've even heard them say that, the anti-flatties. Yeah, it's a ball, we checked. Okay, well, did you, the guy listening to that tripe, did you go out and check? Go and check the measurements. I mean, I'm saying it, people still don't do it. They're using me as the cognitive shortcut. I don't want to be your bleeding guru. Yeah, I'm saying, go out and check for your own happiness how Earth is measured. When you quickly realise, like Dan has just done, I mean, maybe not, he's gone out and got 1,000 people to go and confirm it. But once you figure out Earth's measured flat, you don't need 1,000 further people to go out and confirm Earth's measured flat. Just know it's measured flat and get on with your day. Don't become a guru either. Me, I'm here 10 years later getting browbeaten by the rest of the Western world who say I'm a numpty. Yeah? Say I'm a Jehovah's Witness, right, cats? Why? Because I'm pointing out how Earth gets measured. Okay. Well, that's their pain, not yours, and you'd have to share it with them. In other words, just get on with your day. Don't become their guru. Now, if on the other hand you want to be a flat earth debating ninja and correct people when they tell you that Earth's a ball and enlighten them with the Earth that's measured flat to achieve that mathematical ball they believe in, then my book will be out soon. Just buy a copy. Learn it, and then you'll know how to be a debating ninja because you'll be able to tell them about where their religion came from. The flat Earth that was measured to achieve that ball religion they're telling you the Earth is. Now, if you don't need that, if you don't need to feel so wonderful about how fantastic you are by putting next man down when he tells you about his religious belief in heliocentrism, then just get on with your day. Pick option number 1. All right, I've checked. Earth actually is measured flat. That's how everything gets built, surveyed, navigated, flown over. So it's flat then. Yeah, just get on with your day. Don't worry about the rest of the world being heliocentrists. Don't worry about when they'll get converted, because when they are in 100 years, you'll be dead and who cares? But now you know it's measured flat, get on with your bleeding day. Or buy my book and become a debating ninja about flat Earth, and then you'll do really well, because you just have to read the book from cover to cover. And then buy another copy for next man. I'm done.
Hi, Nathan. I was just listening to Dave McKeegan, and he's actually now just stated that, yes, surveyors do measure Earth locally flat, but for larger projects, they calculate for Earth's curvature. So it must
got
be
a timestamp.
He starts at about 1 hour, but I've not listened to it all. But
Get me a timestamp. If we've got Dave McKeegan on record saying Earth's measured flat, I could be honest. Dave bores the tits off me, right? And the fact that he's got such a large audience is such an affront to me as an alpha male that it pisses me off. Now, I have got the fortitude to admit to this. It's a weakness. But I look at the fuck ugly little golem and go, how the hell have you got all this audience? And I'm struggling to pay my mortgage. It enrages me. So, do I want to watch Dave? Not really. Is it jealousy? Yeah, it's my own weakness. But what can you do? Life's cruel. Yeah? Dave's wrong, but if he's admitting that he measures Earth flat on a local level, yeah, I already know. That's how Earth gets measured. There are no exceptions. Now, they'll apologise, Dave, in his video, at the 1 hour mark or whatever the hell it is, will apologise. On bigger scales, we measure it sphere-shaped. And then he'll give no example of it because there aren't any. But he's admitting Earth's measured flat, right? Yeah, dig me out a timestamp and I'll give it some attention. But what I found in the meantime, when I was watching videos to find something specifically to reference this, was something that I find a bit more juicy. And I want to go through it shortly. And it's an interesting title that the guy, I think he's from SciShow, but for the adults. Because I asked my kids, I was like, is this guy from SciShow? I think he's called Hank, and I think he's from SciShow. But he's on a channel called Vlogbrothers, and he's responding to someone who I assume is his brother. I don't know this gig, I don't know this setup. So when he's responding to the camera, I can only go by what he's saying, and I don't know his backstory, other than he looks a bit like a guy who has videos on a channel that I used to watch called SciShow, and my kids still watch to this day when we homeschool them, called SciShow Kids, if I could wrap my tongue around it. So I don't know if you are Hank, this dude, but regardless, when I'm looking for what I'm looking for, and I eventually find it in the form of this after watching 2 or 3 other videos about the dead internet and various other things that I'm poking around to find a concept that I want to focus on, and I eventually found it in this video at this particular point, which I've timestamped. So I'm going to go to that now. Hopefully my timestamp is there. It is indeed. So yeah, this, as I say, is a video by Vlogbrothers, who is an absolutely enormous channel. More power to you, my friend. 3.93 million subscribers. But yeah, I've watched this and then got a timestamp of the kind of concept that I want to get at. I will give a bit of narration in terms of what is going on at the start of this video, because the title might be misconstrued easily. So he's talking about a concept where he's assessing for his own volition if he, as a content producer, is addictive like cigarettes are addictive, and therefore if there's a dead internet that's pumping people full of garbage algorithmically led content and that's addictive, is he, comparatively speaking, like cigarettes in the analogy? And his conclusion is no, there's actually a starvation of information that's afoot rather than something that's hijacking your body to make you need it like cigarettes. So it's his own false comparison that he starts out with by starting the title as "Am I cigarettes?" which is, like I say, easily misconstrued if you don't know what he's necessarily talking about. But I want to lead in with that sort of vague opener to what this video is about, because that isn't the overall concept that I wanted to extract from this video. But without further ado, and hopefully without any procrastination about sharing his content, I want you to actually let him know. If you are in the live stream, there's over 50 people watching, even though we've not been long live. Let this guy, vlogbrothers, that is, know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment that doesn't immediately get eradicated by the YouTube algorithmic bots or the videographer, if his name is Hank, and I am recognising his voice and personality, then let Hank, if it is his name, my God, I hope it is now I've said that, no, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, as I say, with a polite comment that doesn't immediately get removed by the bots or himself. So just let him know that we've responded to his video. We're not going to be in any way detrimental, in fact quite the contrary, in terms of what we cover from this particular videographer. So if you don't normally go and let a videographer know that at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, this will definitely be the time, because I'm not going to be screaming and shouting and ranting about this guy's use of a flat earth to suggest we're on a sphere or anything of that nature. It is tangential to the point I will make that he is covering in this video. So hopefully that's brought enough time for a few of my audience. And regardless of his enormous size, dwarfing us by comparison, everybody loves getting comments. Everybody loves to know that their video is being covered by any given community. Now, I would imagine that this guy's indifference, I don't know that, to flat earth would lead him to just be sharing in that YouTube algorithmic love that I want to encourage when I do this. When I say go and actually do this, if you're watching live, actually go and leave a comment right now. I'll keep waffling on to buy you enough time to go and leave this comment that says, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me to let you know he covered your video. Because there's a reasonable chance he will actually want to know what we've said about him, given that we are now representative of a community. That's to say that if you're watching my video, because of the departure of Jaron Campanella, that does actually shift my influence status, as much as I hate to admit it at the time of a massive lull. That's the reality. And you are my audience that gives me that influence. So therefore, you going to this videographer and saying, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, as I waffle to buy time for all of those who are actually doing this as I say it, does actually have that power of influence. You are that influence. What does influence mean? It means that if you're toddling along to this guy and letting him know, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me to let you know that we're responding to your video, you're exercising that power of influence that you hold as a member of this community, the community that I've built over the last 10 years, and I'm very proud of, and is the reason we're getting all the adverts from all the anti-flat earthers, because we're talking about Earth being measured flat currently. So hopefully that's brought enough time for you to let this videographer vlogbrothers know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, and without further ado, we will actually play this video now.
When I was a kid, where there's this guy dying in the hospital. Maybe I'll just play it for you. I'm going to describe it, but if I can find it, I'll just play it for you. There's this guy dying in the hospital, and there's all these like suits around him, like professional businessmen around him. And they're saying, oh no, like, how are we going to replace this guy? Like, he was our greatest, most loyal customer.
So this is his analogy. Again, I kind of forgot that he put this in at the beginning, so I haven't prefaced his analogy. We'll just let it fly. It isn't my point, but nevertheless.
And then the camera like pans to a young person in the hallway of the hospital. That to me is the best messaging. That's what we need. We need to understand that the people and the platforms and the foods that are very good at hacking your brain and taking away your agency, and the creators and the leaders who alienate you from reality so that they can keep control over you, that keep you scared of everything, angry at everything, feeling superior to everyone. Those people are the businessmen in that hospital room. And there are a lot of people who have ended up damaged by those people. And they...
Okay, so there's this general point that I want to sort of focus on. So in years gone by, prior to us having massive amounts of information at our fingertips, we were in a position where it might have been the case that we got our information from places like the church. Now, they were influenced by people in power, higher-ups in the church, the aristocracy, but they have their structures back in the day of influence. And with limited information, we were passed on a system about the stars, heliocentrism. Now, this has come down the line from the church to the people via Western world doctrine, used for all of the things listed in that little short clip. The whys and wherefores of keeping people under control. Now, in an information age, it's easy to get your hands on information. So how do you deal with that if you want to retain age-old control structures like heliocentrism? Well, you do what has just been described as poison for your body with food, but you do it with information. Algorithmically, you control what people consume because you know that cognitively people take shortcuts. They don't want to debate the nature of Earth. They want somebody to tell them they've got them covered, they've done the thinking for them, they've got it figured out, and it's still as it always was, Earth moving around the sun in a heliocentric manner. But in reality, these are the control systems that are only kept in place by the information that is being made prevalent by algorithmic love, being passed on to whoever promotes heliocentrism. Doesn't matter how wrong you are in your promotion of heliocentrism, you will receive the algorithmic love. Likewise, the correct information, that's Earth being measured flat and used in that context to describe the nature of Earth, to contrast heliocentrism, can be suppressed. That's us. You can also create a separate division that you can control the narrative with and call that Flat Earth. You can potentially pay people like, I don't know, Jaren to lead that group, disband that group, and then the remainder of the group that is us can be so suppressed that they're insignificant in terms of the amount of noise they make. It's completely drowned out by the people who are wrong. Now, obviously, you need to keep those people who are trying to push your heliocentric control structure from 300 years ago alive and well with algorithmic love. You need to keep them under control too. Well, we remain useful for keeping them under control. Now, there was a word, I've already forgotten it, that was used in the pre-show to describe mania. And I can't remember what the word was. I was going to use it right now. I forgot the bloody word. That's new words for you.
Apoplectic.
Say again.
Apoplectic or something?
Apoplectic. Yeah. If that's pronounced correctly by me, it's the first time I've used it. Apoplectic, I think, was the word.
Yeah, apoplectic. So just look it up.
Apoplectic.
So yeah, to make our opponents who are promoting the standard fare rhetoric of a heliocentric world moving around the sun alive and well in the debating world, you can lead them and control them too easily. And you can use this as a tool to control those people. And you keep them on the edge of a nervous breakdown. Yeah? Like with most things. Yeah. You can have all of the views directed towards you. I'm talking about your Simon Dans and your Craig McNeils and your Dave McKeegans and your Professor Dave's Explaining or whatever he's called, right? All of these people have the algorithmic love, but they don't get the cognitive freedom that we get. So often we will describe the relief that is afforded us from understanding and appreciating the Earth that is measured flat. Same with the potential battle type relief, right? So the relief that you feel in battle when you can tell your opponent, like we are currently, that they're measuring Earth flat and give them their own examples of how they measure Earth flat to take the win, right? Obviously, mentally, that's not soothing, but far less stressful mentally than being on the other side of it, right? If you're on the bull side of having to use a flat Earth to make your globe Earth point, that's stressful. So there's a kind of give and take. We get to kick back and relax with our feet up. Mentally, it's not a chore to be a flat earther. So you need to create a different type of flat earther and have Jared lead it and disband it. But for me, cognitively, I know Earth's measured flat, and I just have to sit and wait till my opponent gives me an example of where they'll measure Earth flat, and then I'll stop them in their tracks and say, you'll measure a flat Earth for that then. And then that's kind of the end of the discussion. They'll just want to create the illusion that the discussion continues. That's the only game that's currently being played. I've even labelled that as rock and a hard place. All right, you've got measurements of Earth, it's flat. What's that? It's not flat, it's not measurements to a ball, tangent. Yeah. So you've got no Earth measurements of surface level then. You're relinquishing them. Oh, you want the surface level measurements, then Earth's got a surface level that you're measuring. And so it continues. But this was never a discussion. Earth was always measured flat. Now, again, like I said in the beginning of this live show or the end of the pre-show, I forget which, get on with your day once you figure that out. It takes 4 minutes to check. Yeah, it's flat, we checked. Now you do it. It'd take you a couple of minutes to go and research any method of measuring Earth ever. Now am I stressing out? Am I stuttering and needing 50,000 edits? Like in a Dan video? People are claiming that I've figured out why people are saying to me, you've edited Dan's video. It's because that's how his video came to me. Dan's edited his own video. He can't seem to form a full sentence without having to put 5 edits in. So I'm afraid that's how it came to me, with loads of Simon Dan edits. Well, yeah, when you're bullshitting through your back teeth about how Earth is utilised as a flat horizontal plane of reference for 1,000 measurements, you're going to find it difficult to string a full sentence together without accidentally saying something you'd hope you wouldn't say and get used by Nathan later. Maybe. I don't know. Who cares? But like I say, with a limited audience of 65 people, rather than the several hundred we used to get back in the day when we were towing the line of the Jeranism rhetoric of a controlled opposition flat Earth, then we get 300 views because then we were towing the line and useful idiots. Now we're talking about how Earth just ipso facto is measured flat and pointing out examples where Dave and Dan and Toon or whoever's in Antarctica or anybody measuring Earth ever is measuring Earth flat. So is that stressful? Nah, just go and look at how Earth gets measured and 5 minutes later you'll be on with your day knowing it is flat because that's how it's measured. You can call me a Jehovah's Witness in response to that if you want.
That word is fitting because it actually means rage. And they are raging just because Earth is measured flat. Interesting.
Yeah, don't become apoplectic just because you've found out Earth is measured flat. Especially, I mean, again, if you want to share your pain by going around like Conspiracy Cats has done, I haven't watched this video, I've seen his thumbnail, suggesting that I'm Flat Earth Jehovah's Witness. Why? All I'm doing is pointing out how Earth gets measured flat. Am I a Jehovah's Witness because I appeal to Dan's 1,000 flat Earth measurements? Does that make me a Jehovah's Witness of flat Earth? I'm appealing to Dan's 1,000 measurements. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me they're not a measurement of Earth, so I can demand you understand that you haven't got any measurements of Earth. And then you can say, well, we did. We measured elevation angles from Earth's flat planar surface for it to be part of the angle measurement we measured of Earth's surface as a flat plane, axiomatically connected to the angle measurement we measured of Earth. Yeah? So it's flat. Yeah, I know. We've known for a while. But it's fun pointing out that Simon Dan's 1,000 measurements of Earth flat are just that. 1,000 measurements of Earth that was always being measured flat anyway. That's why you dumbos on the ball side of this discussion didn't realise. You'd been told that we measure Earth flat because it's a ball. And you didn't think that was stupid and idiotic. You went, oh, right, we measure Earth flat because it's a ball and that makes sense. Yeah. Now me pointing out how stupid that actually is you saying, yeah, we measure Earth flat because on a small scale that's okay, but on the big scale we measure it ball-shaped. And then you don't give any examples of it. Okay? I mean, that's absolutely fine. Or you do what Dan does and say, we measure Earth flat on a small scale of 50 kilometres, but that's because on the big scale we measure it ball-shaped, like at the Bedford level. That's what Dan did. Now, obviously, like I say, this is the stupid, insane nonsense that your average rank-and-file idiot anti-flat earther will jump through hoops to apologise for their use of flat Earth measurements, in this case elevation angles off the surface level. Yeah? If you're McToon, you'll measure a flat Earth with the surface level for elevation angles to the sun for a 24-hour period, and then when someone like me points that out, when you, that's Toon, proactively contact me from Antarctica directly, and I say, what about your flat Earth measurements? You will scream in an apoplectic, if I could say it, manner into the snow about guns. That's what you'll do when I say, what about the measurements being flat? You'll scream, where are the guns? Maybe blame me. Where are the guns, Nathan? Maybe. I don't know. But Earth's still measured flat by every single one of these numbskulls that's currently making me adverts. Just the way it is. Doesn't change how Earth gets measured. It's flat. For everyone, always, without exception. If you're going to measure Earth, like Dan just did 1,000 times, you're going to be measuring it flat, and I'm going to be pointing it out. Now, is that exceptional? Nah. Earth was always measured flat, and it always will be. Shout out to... I'm going to have to put this up on my other tab. Man, it would be handy to have two monitors. Measuring Earth flat, then denying flat Earth is stolen concept fallacy. Is that true? Is that actually a fallacy, the stolen concept fallacy? I did not know that. If that's true, I'll look it up. If you've made it up yourself, then fantastic. You can be the citation if you've made it up yourself. Thank you for the super chat, Matt L. Well, doesn't time fly when you're having fun? We've already done half an hour of the live stream. Hello, Brian. Oh, hello. I was just enjoying your dulcet tones. Oh, well, that's good to hear, Brian. No. It's good to be interacting with you. Well, I'm glad you're here.
He's washing his hands.
Well, even Neil deGrasse Tyson is explaining to his bud about AM and PM, and he describes the Earth being flat. He describes an imaginary line going north-south, a straight line north-south with the spheres that don't have straight lines. But anyway, a straight line north-south, and the elevation of the sun. So the straight line north-south is the meridian, and the elevation of the sun before that meridian line is AM, anti-meridian, and after that line will be PM, post-meridian. Yeah, Neil, you're going to need a flat Earth for that.
Yeah, all of these concepts come from a flat Earth in the first instance. It's this diagram on screen. The hemispherical view that you get if you describe a perspective angular measurement from horizon to horizon, 0 to 180 degrees around your position, then you end up with this hemispherical view. Now you can conjure a globe from that. That's all they've done. They've projected the angles through the protractor they call the globe at a minimal Polaris base measurement value at 3959, an extrapolation that's also under contention currently. Nevertheless, that extrapolation of the minimum elevation angle to Polaris, or Al-Biruni dip angle measurement from surface level, that's a flat Earth measurement, with elevation being measured for the height of a mountain to go up in the first instance off a flat Earth, for a parallel eye level with surface level, to infer calculated sphericity below the surface level you just measured flat. That's the Al-Biruni method of deriving the R value for the use in the suggested sphericity for the plane R view based around Polaris, as depicted on screen. This is the flat Earth that gets measured to create a ball-centric world to pretend you're standing on a curved surface you can't get angles from. But there we go. 10 years in heliocentric denial by me means I can concisely summarise how Earth gets measured flat to produce a bull religion to believe in. That's the information age for you.
Hey, Nathan.
Hey, Brian. Bit of a delay.
You were looking to talk to me a minute ago, you were?
Just saying hello.
Yeah, I was looking to talk to you yesterday evening as well. And I was saying, hello, Nathan, you doing, Nathan? And you weren't answering me. So I said, I'll give him a bit of taste of his own medicine.
I thought we did the book yesterday.
Yeah, while we were waiting for 10th, you gave us radio silence.
Oh, you mean while I was doing the dishwasher and feeding the kids?
Yeah, if you want to make an excuse. Yes.
Oh, it's absolutely outrageous.
Yeah, but that depiction you got, there's a little man in the center of the earth. How did he get there?
He wasn't in the centre of the earth. He wasn't in the centre of anything. He's depicting the... I just explained this like 25 seconds ago. Imagine that view that you just described as a spherical view was a protractor wrapped around him for the angle measurements, right? The angle that is wrapped around your position, if you're one of Simondan's 1,000 participants, is the hemispherical view of a protractor wrapped around your position. 180 and 0 are the horizons that you see in front and if you turned around behind you. That's what you're measuring. You're measuring the Earth as a planar surface. That's how every Earth measurement gets derived. If you're going to create maps, star charts, models, any of that stuff, it all gets measured off a flat plane. Now again, 5 minutes research. That's all it takes. Now we've told you. Now, I'm not suggesting that it takes 5 minutes if you don't know this. You can't know what you don't know. But at the point that you get here, to me, right, having been told that I'm, I don't know, a Samaritan or something. What was it that Katz has put on his thumbnail? That I'm the Jehovah's Witness of flat. You can believe that crap if you like. But once you get here and I say Earth's measured flat, you can do literally 5 minutes research. You could probably get a McDonald's hamburger in less time, right, than it takes to research what I've just told you and find out whether or not it's true. Now, others, as examples, that mean you can just take these if you want, but I would still suggest you take the 5 minutes to go out and check whether or not it's true. Do we survey Earth flat? Yes, we do. We build on it flat. Do we navigate it flat? Yes, we do. What about the charts? Yeah, they're all flat too. Yeah, what about all the mapping? Yeah, it's all flat. All derived from surface level measurements with angles to the stars and GPs. That's what we're measuring to create these maps. What about flying? What, straight and level flight? At flight levels? Measured off sea level? Yeah, we're definitely flying over Earth flat. It's all flat. Doesn't matter which one you pick. Pick one and take the 5 minutes it takes to confirm or deny what I'm telling you. Or you can listen to the gurus of the globe Earth that you already were indoctrinated into when you found your way to Toon or Dan or Dave. And they're telling you it's actually a ball because we measure it flat. Now, if you're an idiot, you can take their cognitive pain on and go, okay, so we measure it flat because it's a really big ball. You can do that if you wish. But me, every time you come to me, right, I'm going to cause you pain. I'm going to cause you to become apoplectic. Got there in the end. Third time's a charm. Because all I'm doing is point out how Earth actually gets measured, and you could have double-checked rather than just relying on idiots on the internet who said, nah, well, yeah, we do measure Earth flat, but because it's really big and ball-shaped. You can believe those idiots, yeah? Me, I'm saying, no, get on with your day. Don't waste a load of time trying to figure out if or Earth is or is not flat. It is based on its measurements. Stolen concept fallacy description, requiring the truth of something that you are simultaneously trying to disprove. Oh, wow. So the utilization of a flat Earth elevation angle measurement from the surface of a planar Earth for the measurement would be the stolen concept fallacy, requiring the truth of something that you are simultaneously trying to disprove. So you require the truth of an Earth that's measured flat with elevation angles to disprove Earth is flat. Wow. That is an absolutely outstanding super chat. Again, I haven't double checked it. You could have made up that citation, Matt L.
What is it called?
Stolen concept fallacy. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate the support.
Bev has been talking about that for a long time.
Oh, interesting. I've never heard of it. It's the first time it's a new one on me.
Yeah. For years now. The stolen concept, yeah.
Yeah, in the I got a something from logicallyfallacious.com, stolen concept fallacy description, requiring the truth of something that you're simultaneously. Yeah, that's dirty. They're always dirty. Ugh. The fallacies they use.
Yeah, so it's what we would sometimes refer to once we spot it. We used to describe this as bulljitsu. So it's where they're taking the W from the L. So they're saying, oh, right, well, I mean, in this case, elevation angles measured off a flat Earth prove that we're on a surface that's not being measured flat for the flat Earth angles. That's like bulljitsu. I'm just trying to keep the concept of what we've been using on the show consistent. So yeah, utilising flat Earth elevation angles to deny that Earth is flat is the equivalent of back in the day what we call bulljitsu, actually more accurately described as the stolen concept fallacy.
This one says it's like trying to build a house on a foundation you're actively dismantling.
But the thing is, the only people that are dismantling that foundation are the people not actually building anything. The useful idiots out to promote the religion that has contradictions. So they're there to suffer the cognitive pain of the contradictions. So if you're a Simon Dan fan and you're indulging in this problem, all you're doing is suffering the cognitive pain of a contradiction within a religion. The religion is that the surface bends when the surface is measured flat to create the bend. Well, that is a dissonance that is too much for most people to bear when you try and square the circle, so to speak. When you try and explain away the contradiction in terms that is measuring Earth flat with, for Dan's 1,000 examples, elevation angles off a flat surface. It's a prerequisite. It's part of the angle measurement. If it's not, that's to say curved, then it's not an angle anymore. Now you, cognitively, if you're one of those participants, might go around just saying that I'm a Jehovah's Witness or something when I point this out. But it doesn't alter that all you're really doing is trying to square the circle on someone else's behalf. Because Simon Dan's not actually utilising the heliocentric system to ends that offers him some control, social influence perhaps, money perhaps. But it doesn't offer him any control. That's being afforded by the people who implicate the system or introduce the system in the first instance. That's not Dan. He's a useful idiot, suffering the cognitive pain on behalf of people who actually use these systems to control us, as was described in the video that I was playing earlier. Was there anything else to that video?
They will always want more customers. And I do think that eventually we will see that stuff not just like junk food, that's like, Doritos are good sometimes, but as so manipulative and cringe and like imagining us as tools to be used. I think that we'll eventually see that. I just think it's going to take a long time. John, the social internet isn't cigarettes, it is food. And a lot of it's junk food. And a lot of it's worse than junk food. It isn't just Doritos. It's making us sick. But a lot of
Yeah, the internet's just like junk food. It's been engineered for you to consume it. Now, obviously, the consumption is going to benefit somebody. And in this case, it isn't the people who are marketing the materials. So who are these people? Well, we've got the Dans and the Craigs and the Daves. They're all marketing this material like sugary food that's very bad for you. It doesn't actually give you any knowledge of how these things were created. And the suppression of that information is done by creating enough incentive financially to promote the status quo. Now, Dan and Craig and Dave or whoever, they don't realise that they're effectively the sugary foods, the cigarettes, the misinformation. They think, in their mind, they're doing the greater good. Obviously, everyone thinks they're on the side of good. Craig, that's Craig McNeil of Fight the Flat Earth, goes around calling himself Batman. That's one of his aliases. I kid you not. These people are delusional idiots, useful idiots, promoting a heliocentric system without actually doing the research themselves. Now, the research obviously undermines the principle of having a curved surface that's measured flat by other numpty useful idiots like Dan, who get his audience to go out and measure Earth flat 1,000 times on his behalf. So that's the circumstances in terms of the dilution of the information that you get in an age where information on the internet is really, really easy to acquire. Well, if it's diluting down something that's controlling people, they can just make enough noise that's wrong for you to never find out the right information. That's precisely what's happening. With a load of useful idiots who get paid to do so. The Dans and the Craigs and the Daves.
Part of it is nutritious. We have to get better at being able to identify which is which. But it's going to take a lot of time. And I do think there are ways to speed that time up. Like, I remember how successfully we decreased smoking in America. There are things we can do, things we can shine a light on, but I think that the stories have to be much simpler than, here's how you do fact checks and have good information literacy.
After he said this to me, I was kind of talking to my daughter on the way to a class that she does regularly. It's one of those classes that's run by a European lady who doesn't seem to get that we have holidays. This particular class runs consistently. Nevertheless, which it's good. My other daughter does a karate class that never ends, so it's always on. And they're different kids for different reasons. They've got different classes that run all year round, and this particular class is one of them. Anyway, on the way to this particular class, even though it's the summer holidays, we're talking about this. I've constantly banged on about primary source research, something that I was taught when I was educated privately in a school that I went to for a few years that was very expensive. Now, during that time, they taught us in a very different way to your average high schooler got taught. Now, I found that out when the school closed down. I had to go to the local high school. Now, local to that school, not to me. I lived in Birmingham and went to a school in Warwickshire where I now live, which is some distance away, so 6 a.m. train journeys and so forth to get to this private school, which eventually closed down. But while I was being taught, I was taught the value of primary source research. All right, you are told Earth is a spinning ball flying around the sun. Who told you that? Okay, let's go and ask that person who told you. Where did you get the information from? Oh, you got it from this book written by this person. Well, let's have a look at that book. Go to the back of it. Find where they got the information from in their references. Oh, there's a different book that says that the world's a sphere. And eventually you get to the source of the information. That's primary source research. Very few people are taught this in high school, if any, from what I now understand. Now, obviously, I've missed out certain chunks of high school education being in a different structure for school at that time. But I'm pretty certain that people didn't get taught this method. They got taught to regurgitate stuff and repeat it on an exam. So the higher-ups, the people with the wealth my parents did when they put me through this particular education system, because they were wealthier at the time, is very different to your average Joe who goes through the average Joe's high school system. They're not being taught the logic of processing things cognitively in primary source research in this instance. The trivium isn't something taught in a normal
Depends on
school.
the teacher.
Pardon?
Depending on the teacher. If you had a good teacher in high school, yes, they did. If you just had someone that went through the curriculum, no, they didn't.
Oh, you're right. Like I was definitely taught that. Is it taught in English class, critical thinking?
I don't know. There were certain sections that I wasn't in a normal high school, so you might tell me that during those years that I was being taught in a private school, that actually no, I was, or you were being taught the similar things in terms of primary source research. But I don't think so.
Well, the thing about it was, I do. Maybe it was my teacher. No, it wasn't the teacher. It was definitely English, because when you have to do book reports or anything like that, or even history, they'll tell you about where you're getting your sources and context clues and facts versus this, that, and the third. And I realized that I was like the best kid in English. One of the best. There aren't that many children that I went to school with that like English class. Like I was actually good at it. I'm like, we speak English. What's the problem? Like if I was slammed, I hated math, I hated everything else. I'm like, this is something I was born to talk English. I could pass this class. You know what I'm saying? So but it's crazy because most people didn't pay attention in English.
Not really.
Hey, Elijah, in middle school, we used to call that ethics class, and that's where you learn like that type of stuff. That's just what I remember.
Yeah, that's not
like
ethics.
In 7th grade, I had ethics. What was that?
No, this isn't ethics. Primary source research is not ethics.
No, like when you start learning about like critical thinking and stuff, like that was more like in middle school. I believe 7th grade was ethics class, and they teach you more like deeper in that sense.
Fair enough. Regardless, what this guy who I've ascribed the name Hank, even if he isn't, is talking about is the difficulty to get people to break this cycle. Yeah? Again, he gave an analogy of the head wanting to move an elephant in terms of what your body and what your general disposition is in terms of the directions you take. You might want cognitively to do something else, but your body will just carry on ploughing on regardless of how you tug on that elephant's ears. It's going to go the direction it pretty much wants to go, even though you're trying to subtly influence it with your heels, if you know what I mean. That was his analogy in this regard, and he's talking about how people take shortcuts. If you've got a seeming problem, is the Earth flat, when you've been raised and brainwashed into belief that we're on a spinning sphere moving around the sun in an orbital motion derived from a 300-year-old church rhetoric passed down through pastors at the pulpit when that was the means of mass communication. Now, that has been kept in place in an information age where it's really easy to validate whether or not it's true. Now, Calric's just left a message. I looked up celestial navigation after hearing you talk about it a year ago. Quickly confirmed for me, Earth must be flat. Thank you for the show and sharing the knowledge. Right, exactly. Thank you so much for the super chat and making my point for me. Which is why you got a little heart, Calric. Really appreciate the support. First and foremost, I am poor. But, moreover, the super chat in terms of its context is what I'm saying. When I say it takes 5 minutes for you to go and check whether or not Earth is flat, that's sincere. Now, it might take you 10 years or 5 years if you're Simon Dan to get to the point where without realising it, you're having to have someone like me laugh down the barrel of the camera at how stupid you are to measure Earth flat 1,000 times, to suggest that you're taking the flat Earth measurement of a surface level angle prerequisite off a flat Earth surface. Unless, of course, you want to deny it. To a tangent, single point. You know what I mean? You can do that too. But again, like I say, whether or not you deny your own Earth measurements or accept that they're prerequisite flat Earth measurements, which they are, is irrelevant to me and the pain that will get projected onto me when I expose that to an audience. And the reason I'm linking it in this way is because you don't have to take option 2, which is start preaching a flat Earth to the people who are the brainwashed masses. 100 years from now, there's a good chance people will recognise, because the information's so abundantly available, and how embarrassing it is once you realise the contradictions. That stuff spreads like wildfire. Yeah? And that's what I don't think Dan and certain other idiots who are useful idiots for the globe lie. They don't realise what their actual purpose is if that's what happens. Yeah? They'll be deemed the idiots that just didn't notice, the ones that are laughed at, when the people around them that haven't been vocal about it go, yeah, it was always measured flat. You measured it flat. When Normie comes up to Dan and goes, what are you talking about being on a ball? You measured Earth flat, you stupid idiot. And then walks off, indifferent to Dan's stupid nonsense, having corrected Dan about how he personally and 1,000 participants and they all measured Earth flat. When Dan hears it from some normie, it's embarrassing. And by then, the collective consciousness will recognise how embarrassing the old globe thing was when we're measuring Earth flat in every single respect. But for now, people want to suffer the cognitive pain. Dan wants to go through the pain of measuring Earth flat to say it's a ball. Well, good for him. You know, I was done with that 10 years ago. Wanting a YouTube channel and wanting to preach about flat Earth is something I now dissuade you against. I'm nearly at the end of my point. I want to dissuade you, the audience, against. When I say, get on with your day, it takes 4 minutes to research it. Then get on with your day. Don't tell your neighbour it's flat when he says, oh, yeah, well, we're flying around the sun at a great rate today. Just say, yeah, yeah. And then carry on mowing your frickin' lawn knowing it's wrong.
Well, he's going to be responsible for all the normies realizing that Earth is flat with this video he just put out. So we should thank them.
Another...
You know that 4 minutes? Sorry, Eli, you're going to say
just a quick shout out to Pablo, who just dropped $100 super chat on me. Really appreciate the support. Thank you so much. Didn't even leave any message. Just obviously wants to give me money. I'm so grateful. Or you put something so rude that it got immediately deleted. Anyway, I'm grateful. Thank you so much for the super chat. Go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
Pablo is ace.
Yeah, Brian.
You know that 4 minutes you're talking about? It's not the same 4 minutes that it takes for someone to look at NASA's videos to find out that NASA are lying to them, but they never take that 4 minutes. Or the 4 minutes it took some years ago to find out that there was no photographs of a globe from space. You know, this kind of stuff. It's just pre-assumed. You know, it just takes 4 minutes and you'll find out. You know, there's nothing to it.
Yeah, I agree. It's a combination of a whole series of 4 minutes to get to the point where we can concisely summarise it, which is kind of the reason I was using this Hank video, where he's saying, you know, we need to get to the point where we're making our message nice and clear and concise for the collective consciousness or the general public, in his example, to just accept it. Like without question, because it's just easy digestible and easy to understand. Now, after a series, as you're putting it, of 4 minute flat earthers going out there and researching how legit the moon landing is like, well, you're saying after 4 minutes of looking at it, you'll realise it looks like bleeding Thunderbirds. It's all on little bits of wire, and it's really obviously not real. Yeah, that's true. But now, 10 years down the line, when I specifically say Earth is measured flat, misnomers of using geometric terms incorrectly with descriptions aside, I'm using the loose and fast terminology our opponents would use when they say, for example, yes, Earth is measured flat, but that's only because it's a really big ball. They're, again, incorrectly using this terminology of a description of flatness when a more accurate geometric terminology would be to say we're measuring Earth as a horizontal plane of reference, which we absolutely are. There isn't any getting away with it. The example that Dan's currently punting 1,000 times over, is the measurement of Earth's surface as a horizontal plane of reference, aka flat, for the angle measurement. I just peppered it with the word flat as the description rather than the geometric qualifier for the angle. Because Brian's here, and he's very fussy. And who can bloody blame him? He's been trained to be fussy by wankers for 10 years.
Yeah, well, it's actually the Earth measures as a horizontal plane with vertical heights and drops above and below that horizontal plane. Just to give a little bit of something I did recently, and I tried to tell you about this last week, but I couldn't get a word in, or whatever day, not yesterday, whatever day I was on before that. Just to give people something to go on. If you measure the full length of Africa, right, in Google Earth, it'll give you 5,000 miles between the two furthest points, more or less, or the two what seem to be the furthest points, right, in length. That's 5,000 miles of horizontal. Now, if you take the highest and lowest, the highest point above sea level, which would be Mount Kilimanjaro, and the lowest point below sea level, which is about 500 feet below sea level, somewhere in Central Africa, or southeast, or Central East, or something like that, Africa. Either way, right? If you take them and add them together and you divide them into the horizontal distance, and was it that the horizontal was, I'm trying to remember now, was it 1,300 and something times greater? Like there was more to measure that one horizontal distance was 1,300 and something, or 3,000 and something times what it was if you like, I'm not explaining this. If you divided the horizontal by the vertical, that there was a massive difference. So it's not like there's big, huge hills everywhere and it's a big, huge hilly place. It's like, no, if you go by the highest and lowest point just in Africa and you divide those elevations into the longest horizontal you can make there, it's like it goes into it 1 or 2 or 3,000 times or something like that. So it's like when you say, my point being is that when we just say the Earth is flat, the description is correct. There's no other way to describe it other than flat, if you want to describe it correctly. Because if you did the same thing with our kitchen floor as I did with Africa, I mean, there wouldn't be a whole lot of difference, would there be? The amount of undulations on the kitchen floor, the highest and lowest undulation into the full length of it, then you'd be talking thousands of times it would divide into it. So how could you describe Africa as anything else but flat, considering, you know what I mean?
You just added, I was wondering about that. You've just added the context to the clarification that I was reading in Master B between yourself and Jardot.
Well, yeah, did I write it into Master B at some point?
Yeah, well, Jardot's talking about the group of elevation angle measurements. I assume you're getting this because of the 1,000 measurements that Simon Dan's recently made. But you're saying if you get hold of the raw data, you could work out the ratios for the nautical and statute miles in each of the two hemispheres, starting with solar noon.
Well, I don't know about hemispheres. Well, what I just talked about there had nothing to do with what Jardot was saying. That's a separate thing. But I don't know about any hemispheres. You have to prove them yourself. I don't claim hemispheres. You and Jardot were claiming them. But he was talking about getting the correct nautical to statute ratio. I don't know how he's going to go about that. Via that.
I mean, I don't claim any hemispheres either. I mean, there are ipso facto flat Earth prerequisite elevation angles to Polaris and Sigma Octantis. But ultimately speaking, these debatable conceptual systems used by measuring a flat Earth in both instances are described as hemispheres. They're not mine. I'm not claiming them either. And I doubt Jardot is. But you are hyper fastidious with your language, and I like it. I love it, in fact.
When you mention hemisphere, you're claiming it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not moaning, am I? I'm congratulating Brian.
Yeah, but what I spoke about there was different. from what Jadot is talking about.
No, I get that.
One
No, I heard
second.
you. Sorry, I'll acknowledge that.
Well,
Yes, it's not the same thing. I suggested it was similar or along the same lines. It's just you're talking about sectional measurements over in Africa. He's just talking about generally gathering at the data to have a look and make comparisons between nautical and statute miles. It is something separate. I get that. I should have acknowledged that at the beginning of my reply to you.
Yeah, I don't know how he's going to determine the correct ratio with that. That doesn't. I don't know how he's going to do that. I mean, I haven't looked into to see, but I just don't know how he's going to do that.
Yeah, just looking at your response. Hemisphere? Question mark, question mark, question mark.
Yeah.
What's the point anyway? I don't get it.
It's more that
flat. What's the point?
Let me answer you. The point is that it's getting people's noggins ticking in a different way. When you get mass measurements, like from Simandan recently, or down in Antarctica, down being the south flat plane, only direction they actually travelled in, as opposed to the antipodal assumption we debunked before they even got there. Nevertheless, these measurements start people thinking. And thinking, well, where from the systems we're currently using are the reality that we're faced with? Where do the two deviate from one another? What can we extrapolate from, for example, flat Earth elevation angle measurements made by the 1,000? Can we take some of this data and start actually piecing together the world that we live in, now that we're curious about it? Now, the point that we've got systems in place in the first place is to stop us looking, to prevent us being curious. We've already figured it out. We just measure a flat Earth and it becomes ball-shaped, you bunch of clowns. Stop looking at it. What are you doing looking at it? Don't you like the system that you've been given? Just use that. That's what you're being told currently. Now, me, I'm going, I don't care what system you use, but the systems we do use, number one, require Earth to be measured flat. Let's just get that out of the way. Now, once we can get that out of the way, people go, okay, so in terms of me concerning myself with whether or not I have to argue with my neighbour, I can do what was described earlier by you and the example with Dan. Some numpty at the bus stop sat next to Simandan, and Dan starts waffling off to his friend that he sat with about Earth being a ball. And then just as they get on the bus, the guy goes, oh, shut up, you stupid dickhead. You're measuring Earth flat with your elevation angles, clown. And then gets on the bus, different bus to Dan, and just disappears into the ether. You know what I mean? Just vanishes with Simandan looking like a twat, sat at the bus stop, having been told by a normal person how stupid it is to use flat Earth measurements to suggest you're on a frigging ball. Now, that will be the general worldview, the general consensus. There's already been, from what I can see, a general tipping point away from the notion of just denying that Earth's a ball and towards acceptance of a flat Earth. Again, through various different thumbnails that get presented to me. I've seen Creaky Blinder, whatever he calls himself, talking about some famous guitarist flat earther. You know, like, I see all these declarations of famous celebrity flat earthers all the time. Now, I can only assume that they've done what I've described, which is getting on the bus and talking to some numpty dipshit about how they're measuring Earth flat. And then that's been taken as, we should now persecute this person. Hold them up as an example of how they do not conform with the cuckery of the society that says we're spinning around the sun. So let's name and shame this person because they don't accept my religion. I mean, it really is quite disgraceful, in fact, the society that we live in when it comes to the religion of heliocentrism. How it is deemed acceptable to behave. How you can take someone who's just doing their thing, making music, and then hold them up as a chastisable example because they haven't accepted your religion that measures Earth flat to create it.
Kind of weird when you think about it, because they believe that we are a planet floating around in the solar system. You think about it, right?
Shout out to Roger Ledwell. He says 4 more hours. Thank you for the super chat.
Nathan, right?
That's me. Yes.
On topic, right? Believe it or not, this is on topic, but you're going to be a while before you see this on topic. You commented on my most recent video. Did you watch it?
Yes.
What was in it?
Oh, I don't know. Was it a cooking video? Something about spaghetti?
No, seriously. Did you watch it, though? Did you watch it? Did
Yes.
you know what was Please say, okay, what
You'll have
was
to
it that
remind
was
me what
being
the video is
stated?
about, because I can't remember what the video is about. I watch a lot of videos. If I've commented on one of your
You
videos...
didn't really watch it then.
You haven't let me finish my
You
sentence.
commented.
Hello?
Yeah.
If I've commented on one of your videos, yes, I've absolutely watched all of it.
Well, you didn't pay attention, because if you did pay attention, you would definitely know what's in it.
You have to remind me what your video is
Hey.
about. I don't know what you're referencing for a start. Just remind us what the video you're talking about is.
I used the Southern Cross and Sigma Octantis, and I pointed out that the Southern Cross can be seen north of the equator at certain times in the year, just like the Big Dipper can be seen south of the equator certain times of the year, and not at other times. So the Southern Cross can be seen in the winter and the spring in places like Texas, right, in South Florida, and places like that, right? It can't be seen in the summer and autumn, right? Or it certainly can't be seen in Texas in autumn, right? Now that means that something is happening. The Earth is not moving, so obviously something is happening where the Big Dipper is visible, right, in Texas in autumn, right? Now, that's no big deal for us, right? Because whatever is happening in the sky, we don't know what the sky is or how it does what it does or whatever, right? So the Southern Cross being seen in Texas in one time of year and not seen another time of the year, it's just like, okay, that's what goes on in the sky. Now, within heliocentrism, within the globe paradigm, how they describe this, right, involves Kepler's annulina, but it also involves the tilt, the 23.4 degree tilt. Now, the problem with that is if the tilt, right, not just the orbit of the sun by the globe within our paradigm, but the tilt is involved in somebody seeing the Southern Cross from Texas, then Sigma Octantis cannot stay in the same place because the Southern Cross goes around the South Celestial Pole constantly, and very close to the South Celestial Pole is Sigma Octantis. Now, the distance between the Southern Cross and Sigma Octantis is never changes, right? There's no perceivable change. The only time they say it changes is every 26,000 years, there's a big shift because of some globe precession. It's only nonsense, but it takes 26,000 years. But the angular difference between, you can measure it, night after night, it's the same, right? Yes, at one time of the year, the Southern Cross can be seen in Texas, another time it can't. Right? Now, they try to say, well, it's there sometimes, but it's there during the day. But that's no good because then they're negating their tilt. Right? The point being is that for someone in Texas to see it and it to be described from a globe, then the tilt is involved, 23.4 degrees, Kepler tilt. What I'm dealing with is I have ballers. The best they came at me with in how to deal with this problem, the problem being that if there's a tilt, then that means that the reason is that, like, if we're on a globe, it's claimed that we're rotating once a day, we're orbiting the sun once a year, right, an offset elliptical orbit, and we're constantly tilted at 23.4 degrees. So consequently, sometimes we'll be able to see some stars, and other times we won't be able to see them, right? But the thing about that, it's certain, right, in certain parts of the sky. But the problem with that for them is this: if the tilt, right, changes when someone can see the Southern Cross in Texas or not, then it has to also affect Sigma Octantis and by association, Polaris. So we'd have to see Sigma Octantis and Polaris if we were within the globe paradigm. We'd have to see them at different points in different places. What I mean is that you'd have to be able to see Sigma Octantis further north than you can see it if you can see the Southern Cross further north in the springtime. So in April and May, you can see the Southern Cross at 26 to 30 degrees above the equator, right? Past the north of the equator, I should say. So if that's the case, how come you can't see Sigma Octantis further north when that never changes its angular relation? relationship with the Southern Cross. You see the problem they have.
Yeah.
You recognise the problem.
Yes.
Yeah. There's something happening in the sky that they cannot deal with, right? If they're making all of that stationary and making, with the exception of the moon, and making us move, that doesn't work. And what I have them doing is the best answers I got were from two different people so far, and both of them denied Kepler's analemma and denied the tilt. So they're literally denying heliocentrism. The whole backbone of heliocentrism is Kepler. He gave them their globe, he gave them everything, and they're literally denying that right now. That's what they're at, because they can't deal with this problem. All they can say is, "Oh, it's there in the daytime at different times of the year, but you can't see it." No, that doesn't work. You can't see it, so you can't say it's there. And if you're saying it's there in the daytime, but you can't see it, then you're negating your tilt. The whole thing is a mess.
I get what you're saying. First, I'll acknowledge what you're saying, right? It was a good video. I do remember you making it now that you've pointed it out. It was several days ago. But nevertheless, yes, your problem that you're highlighting is resulting in them denying their own tilt and the analemma, did you say? I don't really understand.
Yeah, because the thing is, the way this is explained on the globe, right, if you want to explain, is that we're orbiting the sun, and because we're on a globe that has a 23.4 degree tilt, right, and that we're rotating once a day, blah blah blah. The problem is they're trying to keep an orbit of the sun going, and all right, which is a constant movement and change every day. That's 12 months of a change, constant change, but keep everything else the same. You can't do that. You can't have something. You can't have us orbiting the sun and keep everything else equal. You can't. No, everything else has to change, and they have to state that there is changes in the sky because of the tilt. But now they have to deny the tilt. The very thing that explains how it happens in their paradigm, they now have to deny, because how can someone see the see the Southern Cross in Texas in spring, but they can't see it in autumn? But yet Sigma Octantis, which never changes its angular distance from the Southern Cross, yet that can never be seen further north. So how can that never be seen further north? Yet the Southern Cross can be seen further north. Yet they never change their angular distance between each other.
I mean, really, while you're pointing out these inconsistencies, the question really should be, why isn't the congregation of heliocentrism appealing to their own priesthood to get an answer to the questions like this? I mean, you're pointing out where it's wrong, but nobody ever seems to knock on their own heliocentric religious, hierarchy's door to say, this doesn't work. It's always left to them to have their own little battles internally. You know what I mean?
You don't feel like we've tried though, because we were them. We're all coming from the same place, a place of belief, and so, the question is, who the heck do you ask? Because we got on forums and online, and even tried to go to university. That's about as much as we can do.
Well, if you imagine that the North Geographic pole always pointed towards Polaris, and the South Geographic pole of their globe is always pointed towards Sigma Octantis. Yet we're claimed to make an offset. Now this means it's not equal, offset, elliptical orbit of the sun, and to have a constant 23.4 degree tilt of the globe we're claimed to be on, while we're rotating once a day on. You cannot do all those things, all that movement, and keep everything else equal, number one. Number two, if you're trying to explain why someone is seeing the Southern Cross in Texas in the spring, and you're trying to use the tilt, then that means that you must, there's no way around it. Sigma Octantis must be seen sort of further north at that same time. Because within their paradigm, Nothing is moving. Well, as in relation to the globe, only the moon, right? I know they have movements within their heliocentric aerospace, but nothing is moving as in within that solar system and what we're seeing. So we're the ones that are saying to be moving, but all that is just kind of sitting there stationary with the exception of the moon. So how can I see the Southern Cross in Texas in spring, in April and May, but the Sigma Octantis is never seen further north. Yet the two never change their distance from each other. If you understand what I mean, Nathan, it's like it's like a piece of wood gets longer, but it doesn't change its length. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. It's like it can't work. It doesn't matter to us. I just call it magic. That's what I call it. Just going, it's just magic. That's the closest thing to magic I know. I just call it magic. I don't know what else to call it. But they don't. They have specific claims about it. So they need to claim that a stick is getting longer while also not changing its length. That's the best way to describe what they need to claim.
Well, ultimately, they're denying the tilt, which is the bit that is the most egregious. I mean, it's enough for us to point out that the tilt itself only works for 1 day at Vernal Equinox. That's it. But for them to just outright deny it altogether, I mean, obviously there's a natural consequence in terms of the analemma with this regard if you're going to deny the tilt. But Kepler's analemma aside, as in what the sun's doing, your example with the stars and how an acceptance of what Sigma Octantis will do versus the Southern Cross and how you can view it from, for example, Texas, isn't ever going to get the heliocentric masses to gird their loins. You know what I mean? They're never going to do anything about it. You pointing it out as an anomaly is too nuanced for your average Joe to understand. You suggested I didn't, having watched your entire video. And anybody who does understand it can cognitively write it off with the anti-flat earth disposition of discounting aspects of their own religion if it means that they can get around your awful truth that you're pointing out to them. They're not going to go to Neil deGrasse Tyson and ask him to square this circle, for example. Do you know what I mean?
Not if everyone leaves them off with it.
Say again.
You know what I mean?
No, I didn't hear you.
Not if everyone just did. Sorry. Not if everyone just leaves them off with it. The point I'm making is this is causing them problems. The last time I checked, I had 850 views and 550 comments. At 3/4 the amount of comments that I have views. This is not going down well. This is something that I predict will become a much bigger problem for them. I've even had flat earthers come in saying this is very, very good. This is a problem. Because it is. Because they tried to see, I've known about this for years. Me and Adam were talking about it several years ago. And we were going to make a presentation about it several years ago, but it didn't happen. But they pride themselves on this supposed astronomy proving some globe nonsense, right? Because the measurements don't prove a globe, do they? Right? The measurements of Earth, they certainly don't prove a globe. They prove it's flat. But the point being is that they're priding themselves on this astronomy all the time. But they don't want to look at the astronomy because it has problems. And the only person that could give them any help was Kepler, and now I have them denying Kepler. They want to claim an orbit while denying the analemma and the tilt within the analemma. That's literally what's going on. They need to deny the tilt to even try and address it. That's how ridiculous it is. That's why they're trying to tell me, you can see it in the daytime sometimes in the autumn, but you can't see it because it's daytime. Right? And then when I produce for the very people who were coming at me with that, there was only 2 people really that even tried to take it on. The rest of them just attacked me, including Ruif. I got attacked. I didn't get any semblance of anything coherent out of them. I linked a reference page talking about this, about the Southern Cross, and suddenly he changed his tune to that. It's like, so which is it? The point being is that they have to deny heliocentrism to try and address it. That's what I found so far in the past 3 days. Heliocentrism is being thrown out the window to try and keep heliocentrism alive. It is. Remember you were talking about earlier. What's that thing? I said Bev talked about for a few years. What's that fallacy?
Imposter something or other. I have to look it up in the Meet chat. No, in the... I forgot what it's called now. What replaced Skype?
Teams.
Yeah, it's in the Teams chat.
Yeah, that's fallacy, but they have to deny the thing that they need.
Stalling concept fallacy.
Yes. So it's kind of like that. It's kind of a stalling concept fallacy for them at present. Because they must deny the analema, which is that's the very thing they need. That's where they're at. The whole paradigm, like literally, the whole paradigm hangs in the balance on this thing. That's why I'm saying it's important.
Yeah.
They're also denying Einstein, aren't they? 110 years ago, he proved that gravity is not a force, so no heliocentric model anymore, because nothing is orbiting around the sun with the force of gravity, because it's not a force.
Well, no one proved that it existed or was a force in the first place, so he didn't prove it wasn't a force. He just threw all that rubbish out the window. And I predict he did because he did a lot of work on Brownian motion and went, well, there's no such thing as a force of gravity, but it was Brownian motion wouldn't exist within gases, for example.
Yes. While I eat my raspberries.
So we just had like a period where you can watch the media shower, right, every night.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was looking at that. They show you the whole heliocentric movements and how you could see the shower.
Yeah, what you don't know is after they've used the flat Earth to determine where in the sky it's going to happen. Did you know that meteor showers originate from a spot in the sky, like all the time? Like it's not random. Like specific, like next year, whenever this meteor shower time is going to be, it's going to happen again.
Yeah,
regardless of whether or not it's popular or not, like it was this time.
Yeah, but what is a meteor? What's the definition of a meteor?
I don't want to get in. The point is the fact that it happens in the same spot is wild.
Exactly,
right?
Eli, exactly. So it's not a random event happening in heliocentric ergo space then, is it? There you go, straight away. Exactly. It's out the window. Yeah.
No, I know what you're saying, Eli. I want to get to the definition. What is it?
It definitely blew my mind that was like whatever it is, that it originates from certain points in the sky, and it goes well. This I don't actually know. I don't want to speak more information that I'm gonna look up more into it, but yeah, that's wild.
Could you get some information on that and post it in Team, not Vida, or Ballbusters, either, please?
Yeah, for sure. A few, not a lot of people talk about it, but they posted enough for me to put some stuff together.
You see, I would say that astronomy and astronomers, just like Danny Faulkner, hold back a lot of information that would be very damning, I should say, to heliocentrism and the globe. Like that guy that came out there back some years ago, 2017, I think it was, or 2019. And he said, NASA aren't telling you that there's more than one sun. Now, he was a professional. Like, he was known and is still known. Why did he come out and say that? And why was there backlash against him when he did. You know, what else?
Well, what did he mean? What did he mean by that? Because if
I don't
he's
know what he
talking
meant.
about the same observation that I'm suspecting, then yeah, that's another thing that nobody talks about.
But he said that there's a second sun. NASA are aware of this, and they just don't tell people. Basically, he was kind of angry when he was talking.
That would be a total contradiction to the Bible.
No, wouldn't it'd be an interpretation of someone because they're like, oh, there's a second sun. No, there's only one sun. But somebody's interpretation of other things that they see, they can interpret, oh, there's two suns. There's no problem there. There's still only one sun.
Yeah, well, like what they would call a sun may not be what we're seeing as the sun, but they would call it a sun, if you understand what I mean, or a star. But the point this man's point was, like, that this does exist. NASA is aware of it and just don't tell anyone. They don't tell people. Now, I don't know. I remember all the ballers that they're saying he's not being serious. He's not being. The guy was dead serious. You know what I mean? All the ballers.
I would suspect he's talking about the little spot next to the sun, like at the 2 o'clock position.
Maybe.
To go back to the media.
There's definitely something there, something that isn't accounted for or talked about in heliocentrism, yet there's something to be observed. So.
Can I go back to the media real quick because this is interesting? While the Bible attributes the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah as divine intervention, some scientific theories propose a cosmic airburst caused by a meteor as the event behind the destruction. The theory suggests that a meteor exploded in the atmosphere, causing a fiery, sulfurous rain and widespread destruction, including the melting of pottery and other materials. So maybe that's why they push this media nonsense so much. Media shower.
Yeah, no, I hate this meteor stuff because you know it's crazy. If it, like when you ask somebody from the Bible what's the stars falling to the earth about, all they can think about is heliocentrism. They're like, well, obviously we can't get bombarded by, you know, these massive things that are so much bigger than the earth. Like I can't even fathom. Like that like so they say it must mean something else, or I don't know what it means. Oh my God, stars falling to the earth. We're gonna get bombarded by meteors, or you know.
Yeah, in the heliocentric paradigm, yeah.
I wonder what type of shampoo you have to use for a meteor shower.
Head and shoulders.
No, just shoulders.
Well, they're coming from above, right? Head and shoulders.
They've forgotten the knees and toes.
But people like Danny Faulkner will use meteors for Sodom and Gomorrah, but they will not address the sun staying still in the sky. Funny, right? I think QE's got a show today. You going to plug it, Nathan?
Sure, as we're still live. Be Here or Be Sphere on the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel. 7 p.m. UK?
I think you said 5.
So what, we're an hour earlier than it is normally, or 2 hours earlier?
Let me give a prediction of what.
Yeah, it's a little early.
Let me give a prediction about what will happen on QE's show tonight. Everyone will join. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Nobody
Okay.
asked you for a prediction, but feel free.
Yeah. Well, I don't care what anyone asks me for. I'm giving it. You can mute me if you want. What will happen is everyone will join. QE will be in good form. Then he'll talk about food or some other stuff, maybe a bit of archery. Then we go into a video. Then QE won't let anyone speak. And he'll start getting angry at you if you ask him to pause the video. Even though he's just paused it, he could be angry at you anyway. Adam will be going around in circles and taking all day to make a point. But then nobody will be able to be angry at him once he makes it, because his point will be very valid, right, and well thought out. Eli will say one sentence. Neil will come off mute 3 times, right, having a phone call with someone else or talking to Rita, right? Right? QE will be filling his face with cantaloupe, and Flatsy will leave everyone down. That's what will happen.
No, but you're forgetting you. And every time you try to come in, you'll be angrily met by QE.
Oh, yeah. Oh, don't worry about that. I'm fully aware of that happening. QE wants everyone to join his show, then he gets angry at you when you want to talk. It's like, you want me to join your show, then you won't leave me talk.
So with that plug, yes, it's 5 o'clock Sydney, Australia time. Oh, 7 p.m. UK. You're right, Nathan. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Nathan will join and say, please subscribe to Nathan Oakley 1980 and Nathan Oakley respectively. Thank you, bye. That's what I can say.
And then leave. Or he'll come in and say Nathan Oakley is ace.
You actually know what the subject that's getting covered on QE's show, because that might actually be more useful to the audience that's hearing this plug, because it sounds like you're like knocking his show, which I'm sure you're not.
Alex O'Connor.
Who?
The Alex O'Connor guy. QE live treatment, Alex O'Connor, and Professor John Lennox. Part 3, the same thing we were going over. Part 3. You know, the 2 intellectual chaps.
No. But jolly good. Be Here or Be Sphere on the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel. 7 p.m. UK time. 2 p.m. Central Standard.
What was funny in the last show? Sorry, one time.
That was it. Fun will be had by all.
Sorry, I was just going to say, in the last show, I think it was Alex O'Connor and I think John Lennox, right? The two of them are sitting in Oxford University, right? And they're talking about something. And the thing is defined in the Oxford University, right, dictionary, right? And they are talking about something completely different concerning this term or what. It's like you're literally sitting in the place that defined what this thing is, and you're talking about it incorrectly. It was hilarious.
Where were they sitting? Was it Oxford?
Yeah. And they were talking about some term, or there was something they were talking about, and they were speaking about it incorrectly. Like it wasn't in line with the definition. And QB read out some definitions, and one of them was Oxford University Dictionary definition, Oxford Dictionary. Like they're literally sitting in Oxford University, and they have the definition about this word wrong. It's literally, that's the place that defined it. Unreal.
Right. With that, though, I am going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering Streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So, another massive thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.